talked to about the protection plan were Don Gobin of Gobin Cars in Wisconsin, Bob Whitten of Northeast American in Chandler, Georgia, Carl DiSalvo of DiSalvo Incorporated in Afton, Missouri, Charles Wentworth Jr. of Wentworth Irwin Incorporated in Portland, Oregon, James Rapp of Midville American Auto Sales in Middle Village, New York, and Nafe Kellel of Greenfield American in Detroit. First, we asked these dealers, what was the attitude of the customer coming into the showroom when the buyer protection plan was first announced by American Motors?
Well, there was a great deal of skepticism on their part. It was just too hard for them to believe that the factory was going to do exactly what they said.
They were very skeptical of the advertisement that they had seen on national TV, and I think basically they wanted to be more convinced that it was true that American Motors would do what they said they would do on the advertisement.
Then we asked them, what did you do to overcome the buyer's skepticism and convince them the buyer protection plan was everything American Motors said it would be?
At first it's fairly vague. I don't think he wants to ask directly about it. But as we sell, we more or less bring the buyer protection plan up, and it's an excellent closing tool.
Well, I think a lot of them had a lot of doubts. They thought it was just another sales pitch that the dealer wasn't going to back up what the factory was saying. But I think we cited a couple of instances with customers, brought their car in, left it, we gave them a car overnight, and you'd be surprised in the city, word to mouth, it travels a long way.
Conquest sales come from competitive owners, so we asked, how did competitive owners react to the buyer protection plan?
Well, that really impressed them. They all usually had some kind of problem with service on a new car. And once you convinced them that everything was going to be done, why, it really helped them.
I think for curiosity, the owners of other makes of automobiles came in to question the salesman and the dealership as to see if the buyer protection plan was true.
He's dubious. He thinks American Motors will give it. He has some doubts, but I think the salesman pretty well pushed the fact that we will give him a guarantee, that there is no strings attached, and they're pretty blunt about it, and they pretty well push it across. And after the customer leaves, I think he's pretty much convinced that we do have a guaranteed car.
We asked the dealers what specific questions the buyers asked them about this plan from American Motors.
Well, the first thing they ask, is it true that when you bring your car into service and if it's left overnight, the factory gives you a car to use for charge? And, well, are most of the things guaranteed, like they say, squeaks and rattles and windshield wiper blades and light bulbs and things like that? That's what, people ask about most. And we convinced them.
Well, they had questions about the loaner car, but I think the main question they had was, how quick can the car be fixed?
The buyer protection plan is an excellent selling tool. So we asked, how do your salesmen use the buyer protection plan in their selling?
It was a big asset for them selling cars, and American Motors was going to pioneer this type of program, and they could actually approach any person with integrity rather than just a gimmick.
Well, the salesmen are very enthused about this buyer protection program because it's something other manufacturers don't have. And we have a selling tool that is exclusively American Motors, and the salesmen certainly appreciate this tool.
Is the plan a big factor for the prospective buyer in making a buying decision?
It's becoming more important all the time because as we get more cars on the road and other people have experience, it's selling cars for us by word of mouth.
We tell the customer that the entire car is guaranteed for a year, and we convince them. It's just a matter of us convincing them, along with the television commercials that American Motors has been doing. It's been helping. I think it helps us sell cars, no doubt about it.
If it's sold right, American Motors feels the plan can increase sales. How much has it helped you increase sales?
I think the buyer's protection plan, first of all, has definitely given us possibly 50% more floor traffic. The actual sales we derive from the actual plan, I say our sales has increased possibly 20–25% just because of the actual plan. The plan is good, of course, but it creates a heck of a lot of floor traffic. People just come in because they hear it and they want to see it. They see the car, they like the car. They buy the car, frankly, because they like it and the buyer's protection plan.
I would say 20 to 25%. We're up about 55%. I contribute part of it to us and a great deal of it to American Motors for giving us the floor traffic to work with, which I think the buyer protection plan has given us.
How about down the line for future sales?
Well, I don't see any stop in what we're doing. I can see bigger and bigger and bigger sales, and I'm just so exuberant, more so than I've been in the 13 years I've been an American Motors dealer.
Down the road, it's bound to get us repeat business. It's going to get us more referrals. It's more talk. There were some people bought a car and they were just truly amazed because they got new windshield wiper blades. Those type of little things are really going to help us.
I think the plan will do a great deal to ensure a future prospect, because in the past the customer came in, he was presented a $200 repair bill he thought he shouldn't pay. If he paid it, he was done. American Motors lost a customer. This eliminates all that. I think it'll go a long way to give us a big bank of prospects, good customer loyalty.
They also answered us on what was the attitude of their service department concerning the plan when it was first introduced by American Motors.
The service department found it very difficult to believe, but after they've had a little experience with it, they're very thrilled and are very enthusiastic with our customers.
The sales managers and the service writers were very pleased with it because they could do things for the customer that we haven't been able to do before, more graciously and at our own liberty as to what we would do for the customer.
During the introduction of the plan, they probably were as disbelieving as the consumer, because for years there's been this constant harangue between the factory, the service manager, and the service representative, and the consumer. There's a constant triangle that has been going on for years. However, after the realization that this plan was workable, that the quality control on the automobile was so good that the comebacks after the initial pre-delivery were so minimal that the service people realized that this plan was in fact working.
Well, of course, when the service manager first heard it, that we're going to have a program like this, naturally he figured it would be the run-of-the-mill where you'd write 3 warning claims and possibly get 2 back. But really, he's been amazed. This worked out to, well, it's better than his expectations.
We asked, have you augmented the plan in any way?
Well, I think that we've done a lot of little things. We are now going to build a buyer protection center and do all the new car prep there and send all the cars there for minor warranties, and we're going to promote it as that, as a buyer protection center. It's going to be a separate building and separate men working in there, and where you don't have this conflict of small jobs on new cars compared to a transmission job on a 5-year-old car. So we're going to separate into a buyer protection center.
We hired one additional pre-delivery man, which our pre-delivery people are on salary, and we think they take more time to service a car than running it through.
Well, I think the thing we do most here is cater to our people, cater to our customers. To me, a customer is the most important thing. Without a customer, you're not in business. Customer comes in here and we give him carte blanche, that's all.
Whatever American Motors and its dealers have done and are doing, it's working. It has changed attitudes towards American Motors and its dealers. Here are their views on attitude changes.
I think the most important element of the plan today is the credibility element. I think the consumer now realizes through the various medias that the credibility of the plan backed by American Motors leaves no doubt to the consumer that if anything goes wrong with his car for 12 months or 12,000 miles, and it's the fault of American Motors, that we will fix it free.
I think it's about the best thing anybody's ever come up with as a sales tool.
The plan is more believable now than it was then because we've had it in effect for 8 months, and it's working. And they're talking to other people about it, and therefore they're much better satisfied in their own minds that we are going to do what we say we'll do.
The Buyer Protection Plan being an exclusive American Motors plan, certainly if we convince the customer that the factory means what they say, we don't have any trouble with competition.
I think your best advertising is a customer telling his neighbor that the car, for one thing, is tremendous. You know, really, it's quality control, you can't beat it. And like I say, customers tell one another, they tell their friends and their relatives, and it gets around.
You get a prospect to where he's on the fence. He likes the car, as we're saying. Likes the color, he likes the deal. He's just hesitant. And it's other than the fact that, possibly for a personal reason, you can usually close them with the Buyer Protection Plan by emphasizing it. Say, look, you buy this car, this is the biggest expenditure you're going to make. From now on, it's free. And you can emphasize to where I think you can really close with it. It's a good closing tool.